Hi, my name is Taylor Rowe-Williams, and I'm here to present food laws and regulations. Food laws and regulations. The introduction of food laws and regulations. Food laws and regulations was addressed in the early in the early 1900s. Food processing was the first sector addressed by the U.S. federal law, also in the 1900s. It was addressed to verify certain foods, and the U.S. Congress enacted on federal law to address the food issue that could be the issue of food on why people were getting sick. So that's why why people were getting sick, and that's why the birth of food laws and regulations was created in the early 1900s. Food regulations was there to promote the industry of best practice, encouraging food companies to put systems in place that will protect the consumer's health. So the food regulations was there to protect consumers to for their health and what they're eating. The history of food laws and regulations in 1202, King John of England, he proclaimed the first English food law. That was because the size of the bread was made of ground peas and beans. And in 1906, the original Food and Drug Act was passed by Congress on June 3rd and signed by President Theodore. With that being said, a little history on the side. The Depression of the U.S. didn't start until 1920. It ended about 10 years later. During that time, that's when the original Food, Drug, and Act was in the process of going or getting started. Within that being said, that's when food was starting to be rationalized and not really being a thought of, not really being a thought of being, I'm sorry, not being a thought of it being looked at. So they just sold it straight to the consumers. And food laws is the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. So it was just like back in 1906, back in 1906 when the original Food and Drug Act was passed. That's when food laws came in, and it was an investigation because of the meat scam and people eating different things, and it looked at how it was looking, but it did not taste how it was look. If I'm being more descriptive here, it did not taste how it looked. And with that being said, food regulations was there again to support or to protect the food supply in the presence of wholesome or harmful chemicals, physical and biological representation or mislabeling with regards to formulations, we're saying which is good and which is yucky, what could be sold, what cannot be sold, what was making a more profitable money and which was not. So that's what food regulations was. And then again, protecting consumers' health. Here are two research-based papers. Here are two research papers about food safety. Click the link. I will have the presentation in the link and under this video, where you could go and click on these two links and read up more on laws and regulations, food laws and regulations. The negative and positive impact on food laws and regulations. The negative impact was humans could get sick, have stomach virus, foodborne illness, such as E. coli and other contaminations. And the positive impact was that's when food regulations and laws was created to paramount for the public health and within the safety of consumers' health, and with the satisfaction of food safety risk and you know, within the legalization and the legal imperatives of being safe with food. So with that being said, in conclusion, that's why we have the FDA and the IFT people in those states, in those matters of the federal government protecting us with our health, because as a consumer and as a buyer from buying stuff from Walmart and not knowing where our food coming from, or not knowing how is it getting here, or is it getting clean, or is it clean? So that's why the FDA set laws and regulations for the industry to follow. For the industry to follow, to make sure our food is safe and healthy, or safe in general. So that way we won't get sick. And here's some more references to back up with all I'm discussing about on this presentation. So there are more references. Again, I will have this presentation down in the description box. So thank you. And again, my name is Taylor Rowe-Williams, and I'm a food science major. And thank you for watching my presentation. And I will see you guys in the next future presentation.